Supermoon Tarot, and in today's video we're going to be looking at who is your soul family. I am unbelievably excited to get into this because so before I was going to do this video, I was like, I'm gonna go see my spirit guides and see if there's any further information I can gather about soul families to get specific and make sure that I'm, expressing this information correctly. And they were like, would you like to speak to the Akashic record workers? And I was like, yeah, of course. Because if you've seen in my Spiritual Talks video where I go into in depth about the Akashic records, and also my past lives video where I talk about that's where I heal them and cross them over. If you go to that one as well, I talk about working with the Akashic record workers. Anyways, so I was talking to one of them and they pulled out a book and they were like, oh, and we were reading it together and they were like, well, there's an architect to the past life system. And I was like, whoa, wait, what? And then as I was discussing this with them, the architect showed up and I was like, hello. It was very, very, very cool. So there are different architects for different ways that we live life spiritually, certain things that pop up. There's sometimes architects for that. There's more than one, just to be clear. But this one, and they just simply asked me to refer to them as the architect of past lives. Before there was even beings anywhere, any sort of existence, Source asked the architect to create a system so there could be a recycling process. There could be it wouldn't get too built up. We talked about in the past lives, there's a reason why we go into the next life and the next life and the whole reason why that happens and the process and everything like that. So this is the system they came up with. And they said, I created soul families because it's almost like the system, an example of the system existing within the system itself. So when you're going through your various past lives, you're clearing out stuff in order to become the best version of yourself. And then in the long term, we're all the best version of ourselves and we're sort of combining together again, so to speak, to simplify it. I'm really oversimplifying this, but you get the gist of it. So to have a soul family where your natural instinct is to want to connect to these people that you might not in this lifetime remember because, you choose to not remember things, you choose to not remember the previous lifetimes. And so you just have this sense of connection with these other people and you want to get together and it's instant. And that's what we're talking about with soul families. That idea of wanting to naturally connect with these other people that you can't explain why you're connected to them, but you both all chose to be let's, reincarnate together. We've got this. It's basically teaching you, oh, this is what I'm meant to do. I'm meant to connect with others. I'm meant to find the greater good in others. I'm meant to overcome my stuff so I can have this sort of connection with other people. It's an example within the entire process itself. And the way they expressed it is the architect said, it's a seam within what feels like a tear, because when you are going from one past life to the next, because you are choosing every time to not remember all of this, you feel you can have times where you feel lost or again, we talked about disconnected, and there's no tear, everything's going perfectly to plan, but this is what makes you feel a sense of togetherness, a sense of understanding and a right amongst what can feel off, or I don't want to say wrong, but you get what I'm saying here. So yeah, very interesting. Had to share that with you. I can go into more depth about this in another video if you want for my Spiritual Talks videos. I'm just putting that out there. But yeah, I wanted to share that with you. So anyways, let's find out who is in your soul family. We've got 4 groups in front of us. Group number 1, 2, 3, and 4. I want you to pick the group that you resonate with most. Now that you have, you can go down the description where you can skip to your designated group. And it's marked timestamp, but let's get started with group number 1. Group number 1, let's find out who is your soul family by looking at the cards. Ooh, this looks so luminescent. And normally it's supposed to, but that's the first time I really felt that luminescence came in. We've got the Oracle cards, Goblins, and home upright. Oh, wow, that makes complete sense. We have got Page of Pentacles upright, Six of Cups upright, Six of Swords upright, and Three of Swords in reverse. Whoa. Wow, 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 wow. Okay. Hold on. Let me just get the rest of this information because it's a lot. Okay. Okay. All right, let's go. Let's get into it. Yeah. Okay, I got everything. So first, let's start with these two oracle cards because they're most closely related in this circumstance. So in the Goblins card, this is when, how do I say this? You've been through something and it was bad enough that it left some form of a wound or like an emotional wound we're talking about. Can it be physical too? It can be physical. And it felt like at the time when this happened, it took away a part of you. You know, you weren't yourself after this experience. Did this also happen in this lifetime? And the other lifetime. Okay. So apparently this seems to have repeated itself from the past and in the current present. So what my spirit guide was showing me was that you and this other person, there are multiple people we're talking about. Did this happen with all of them or just one in particular? One in particular. Okay. So we're going to be talking about a couple people, but one person in particular, the two of you were sort of unfortunately pulled apart prematurely. Something happened. It seemed like it was a pretty big deal to both of you and left enough of that sort of scar that it repeated itself into this lifetime. Not the separation, but that sense of like, I'm just not myself. I feel like there's a missing part of who I am. This is definitely something that could be potentially a reason why you feel like this needs to be fulfilled with romance. I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but to understand something special about soul families is you know how sometimes when people feel like when they meet their soulmate via romance, they feel like, oh, their whole life's going to be completed. That's the missing, piece to their puzzle and so on and so forth. And that can be the case. I'm not making an argument against that. But don't underestimate when you meet people who are your soul family, people you just really vibe with, and it's an instant connection. That's the main thing that gets said over here. I'm going to be going into more detail. That can also be a similar feeling you are unknowingly chasing. So definitely consider like keeping an open mind that you can receive that sort of connection in addition to what you're seeking in a partnership romantically, also with friends as well. Because when we're talking about soul family, we're more talking about friendship. Vibes anyways, and this can show up in people you are actually currently in a family group with, and this can also exist with random people over time you will grow to have a very close connection with friendship wise, people that you're not directly related to. So anyways, so there was some form of separation. It really like affected both of you guys so intensely. You guys were like, we'll meet in another lifetime. When you met in this lifetime, there was a repeating of that emotional scarring. I can see it expounded upon over here in the Six of Swords and the Three of Swords in reverse, which is really interesting. I say it's interesting because both of these talk about this like high vibrational thing you're going to come into. You're going to be really pumped about where the future is going to unveil itself and be in the long term, but you're sort of on the road to it, if that makes sense. Like you're not quite there. You are starting to put out the projection and the vibrations. You're letting the universe know you're ready. But once you're in it, like the feeling and the vibrations you're putting out now are just as valid as when you get to this destination. But when you get to the destination, it's the joy of finding other people that are vibrating the same way. Really, again, we were talking about like-minded people. And that's something I want to continue on over here with the home. So the home oracle card is all about like-minded people, and my spirit guide said that when you meet these other people, and I want to be clear, the when you meet is something really important when we talk about the timing of you and this soul family, because it's not just when you'll meet them, it's that you have met them and there's more to meet, but we'll get into that in a moment. But when you meet these other people, this soul family, it should be pretty seamless, my spirit guide said. It should be like kind of an instant connection of like, you just both have the same things you're into. There's a lot of similar belief systems. There's a lot of similar interests. It's just very smooth and easy and effortless to get along between the two of you. And really makes sense when we have that home vibe, because Goblins was all about like, when you are met together, it's like a piece of you got returned. It feels very soul fragmenty kind of vibe. Am I picking that up correctly? I am. Okay, I heard them say you are. So when you get together and there's that connection, it's that sense of like, you're my home. I'm back. I feel like safe and secure, and I'm feeling very in my bliss, because when we feel safe and secure, we're able to express ourselves that much better, have that much more creativity, really explore who we are on a much deeper level, and bloom in a way we never thought we could before. So this is very exciting. It feels like a very intense support system you're going to be coming into. Now, when I say coming into, I want to be clear about that with what's going on over here with the Page of Pentacles and the Six of Cups. So in the Six of, if you notice, we have two separate situations here. Both of the imagery show somebody giving something to someone else. My spirit guide makes sort of like an analogy going on over here and here. They said, in the Page of Pentacles, see how this person, you, has something to offer, would like to give it to someone, but they don't really, as you can see in the imagery, there's not really anyone there to give to yet. This is one of our other additional confirmations that you haven't met them yet when you meet them type of thing. This sort of dialogue over here is subtext of that when you meet vibe again. We also have that confirmation over here of the when you meet them type of thing. So you're not quite in, and my spirit guide confirmed that they're not quite in your life yet. You're going to meet them, but my spirit guide says they don't have someone to give this to, so they're sort of giving what they hope for to the future, and they're saying to the future and sort of out to the universe, hey, I'd like to meet other people that vibe the way I do. Hey, I'd like to feel this connection. I'm ready. I'm willing. Like we talked about the six, high vibrational thinking and way of approaching life. You're in it. You're ready to give it. You're just kind of waiting to sort of receive a message back. But over here, this is the imagery of you as a younger child and someone giving to you what you, like my spirit guide said, you didn't have this to give until someone else gave it to you. And we're saying we're saying this, it could be thoughts, emotions, lessons, belief systems, a sense of connection. My spirit guide says connection's the big one. So my spirit guide said in the Six of Cups, this is the representation that when you were younger, someone you knew that was older, who was very kind to you, was part of your soul family. I asked if this could be someone you're related to, like a grandmother or something like that, and they said yes, it can be. But there was this sort of loving connection, and this was part of your soul family. But now you are in the next stage of your life where you're basically preparing to meet the rest of them. And I want to be clear over here too with what's going on, because my spirit guide said with these two cards, the Six of Swords upright and the Three of Swords in reverse, is, again, this is the confirmation of when we usually look at the Six of Swords upright, this is like successfully getting to your journey. It's just going to take a little while. It's sort of a timing thing. It's like, it's going to be a little while. You're going to have to, my spirit guide said, you're going to really want to focus on vibing with yourself, not getting discouraged that you haven't met these other people that are like-minded, and really just kind of, and if we look at the, normally the Three of Swords being upright representing like deep, intense pain, like emotional, maybe someone really affected the way you view the world or something like that. You were really betrayed at some point or time. We talk about that wound over here in the Goblins, as you can see, this mirror imagery we got going on over here. They said that during this time period, while you're kind of waiting to have them process and be in your life, see how it's in reverse, and it's almost like my spirit guide said, it's like you're putting this idea, these difficult feelings back away in the clouds instead of it having it pour onto you. It's almost like you're no longer repeating this mantra in your head that you're not okay, you don't fit in. You're sort of like coming back into yourself with self-care over here, and you're really looking inwards and being like, you know what, for now I have a lot of fun things I like to do by myself, and like I just like to put on some music and read a good book, or maybe you like to play some sort of game or do yoga, or you like to have fun and like have like a little spa to yourself. And you know, a fun thing I used to do back in the day was like, it used to be so fun when you like organized your music, if you know what I mean. Like organizing music can be so fun. I don't know why, but that was like a fun thing back in the day I used to do. But the point is, you sort of no longer give attention to what feels like this feeling off, this sense of betrayal we talked about. And this is what then enables when these people do come into your life, which my spirit guide says it's going to be over a 2-year time period. So you're going to meet one person, a couple months later, meet another person, a couple months later, oh, my spirit guide corrected me, a couple weeks later. Okay, I'm getting kind of a timing thing. Let me see how specific I can get with this. Meet them, 6 months, meet another person, 4 weeks, meet another person. That's all they'll say for now. Okay, at least I got very specific on that. But the point is, you're going to meet additional people over a period of 2 years. My spirit guide said it won't ever be like a full-on group where all of you are hanging out together, but because you know each person so well and you feel such a bond between each person, it's almost like they're your crew and group without them really like knowing one another or needing to know one another. But you will feel like you have all these different people to depend on, like-minded, they feel like you're home, all that good jazz. 2 other ways that you can really identify them and they're helping you overcome, we talk about this sense of like connection, healing, what needed to be healed. The 2 other things I want to point out are the beautiful yellow in the background and the blue. So the yellow in the background, my spirit guide says it's all about choice. You can even see the choices being made here in the imagery of the card. They said that it's like when you're going to be interacting with these people, one person in particular, in this soul family, they will put you in a position where you will have to make a lot of choices. So it's one way you will be able to identify them. And what we mean by this is like, they keep asking your opinion on a certain belief. You have to make a choice. They'll give you an opportunity to say, do you want to come join us on this like fun adventure or not? You're going to make a choice. So it's a lot of like in the moment decision making that will then slowly start to define kind of like declarative like points of view, and you'll really start to explore yourself through choice. Maybe you were someone before who didn't like to go on spontaneous adventures, and in the moment when it's being presented to you and you start to take up on that sort of a vibe and like you're like, okay, yeah, I'll choose to do that. Over time you're like, wow, I can just choose to be anyone who I want to be. And so it's a really beautiful opportunity they're giving you, and I can see where it's a sense of like exploring a new part of who you are, which is really beautiful. And then the other one, is this for everyone or anyone, or like a specific person? 3 specific people in the soul family. Is this one of the people that has this too? Yes. And does it also count for the older person too? No. Okay. So the person who's going to give you the choices and 2 additional people are going to have the feeling of what's going on with the blue. So my spirit guide said the blue is representing this feeling of weightlessness, and it's associated with the idea of flying. So when you are vibing with this other people, this is going to pop up a lot. My spirit guide said this is a super wide array of symbology going on here. You could have flying dreams. The 2 of you tend to see a lot of like birds, depending on like where you are in your part of the world, whatever your popular bird is or bird that's popping up a lot. Maybe when you guys get together, you just feel like you're flying, that sense of sensation, but that it keeps popping up over and over again, how important that sense of weightlessness and flying feels like when you're with these other people, and they can show up in a myriad of ways. So overall, you do know a little bit of your soul family currently. Very cool. We talked about that over here. You will be meeting the rest soon. Wait, hold on, let me just check real quickly. Okay, so some of you are meeting it soon and some will be a little bit longer. But when you do, whether it be soon, or in a little bit longer due to the Six of Swords imagery showing a little bit more time needing to take place, it will start to kick off a 2-year time period. So you're going to really vibe with someone. Then, we talked about the timeline 6 months later, vibe with another person really hard, and you're just going to have too many best friends to know what to do with. Either way, it'll be easy to identify them through the things we talked about over here, the choices and the flying sensations, and also the general vibe of like feeling like a part of you has been, like a puzzle piece has been missing, has been placed back in, and you feel whole again, which is really beautiful. Oh, really? Oh, that's so sweet. My spirit guide said that this other person, one of your, all of them. Wow. Okay. Apparently the rest of your soul family sort of is like holding on to a fragment of your soul that got broken apart from these separations. And when you guys get together and combine again, they're going to be returning this part of you to you. Oh my God, that's so sweet. They're like, the way my spirit guide described it is like, they're holding on to it. They're like keeping it safe for you until you guys meet again. Oh my goodness, that's so cute. And then also, again, it should be pretty easy peasy to get along with them immediately with everybody in the group. My spirit guide's like confirming that and saying yes. So it doesn't matter who they are. You should just kind of instantly vibe with them. It shouldn't take a lot of effort to get to know them. So if you feel like you like someone at your job and they're like cool and they're a cool coworker, but there's a little bit of friction or it's taking a little bit to get on their good side, they can still be your friend, but they're definitely not your soul family. So yeah, a lot of great information. Love it. So beautiful. Yeah, please leave a comment below if you already feel like you know who this person in the past is, or you feel like you can sense this soul family is coming to you right away, or you could identify one of the first people and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm already starting my 2-year trajectory. Very excited for you. Also give this video a like, a subscribe, hit that notification bell. I am wishing you the best. I look forward to seeing you in the next one, and let's get ready for our next group. Group number 2. Group number 2. Let's find out who is in your soul family by looking at the cards. We've got Commitment in reverse, Moonlight Oracle card as well in reverse, Ace of Cups in reverse, the Justice card upright, the High Priestess in reverse, King of Pentacles in reverse, and King of Cups in reverse. Give me a moment to look at all this information. Interesting. Okay, we have 2 people showing up, but the other person is more of an explanation between the dynamic of what's going on between the main person we're speaking about. And my spirit guide said that there are other people in your soul family, but this is the most important one we want to speak about, which is really it's really interesting because we're going to mostly talk about a certain type of dynamic going on here. And my spirit guide says that this dynamic will in the long term change for everybody, but right now everyone's like kind of playing their part and role in how they interact with one another in order to best help you out. So let's first start about the meeting, because you do already know this person. So in the Commitment in reverse, it's about during a time a relationship just wasn't working out. And I did ask, this has actually nothing to do with a romantic relationship. This would be like a family member, a bad friendship. This could be a coworker, but some form of regular interaction just was messing you up. And has it been severed? For the most part. Okay. Okay, cool. I'm just checking everything to make sure I got it. Anyways, over here with the Moonlight Oracle card though in reverse, the way they kind of like messed you up was, it appeared, first of all, it's a very positive sign that we have both the Moonlight card and the Ace of Cups popping up. You appear to be very intuitive and connected to your emotions, but sometimes that can kind of unfortunately get in our way and be the first thing to sort of be used against us, or away or get disheveled and stuff like that. And basically with this card being in reverse, it talks about how you started to really second guess yourself, distrust yourself, and it doesn't mean you were off in your opinions or how you were evaluating the scene around you, but nonetheless, this other person and this experience caused you to kind of just like be insecure and be like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not even sure if I'm right about what I'm thinking and feeling, and if that's the right, path and trajectory, and am I being judgmental? Am I seeing things wrong? That type of inner monologue going on. Well, I'm really happy to say this other person in your soul family had your back in a really interesting way. So over here in the Ace of Cups in reverse, it repeats this kind of mentality going on between these two oracle cards. It's like our second confirmation card. And in tarot reading, if you're a fellow tarot reader, this is when these type of confirmation cards pop up, for me as a reader, it's like a awareness of how important it is, how much it means to your circumstances, and it's how much spirit wants to talk about it. So it also talks about being like closed off emotionally, being kind of unable to really open up to other people, and the way this got dealt with or is being handled and repaired is through an interesting circumstance due to the interaction between you and this other person. So in the Justice card upright, my spirit guide said that this other person would be described as very fair. So normally when people come out of a circumstance like this, it's a really great positive thing to be extra coddled and just really told how special you are, given a lot of love and extra support. But what actually is benefiting you more right now is to see someone. So imagine like this is how low you feel, this is neutrality, and then this is like way up here. Sort of, we're taking an unconventional approach to this overcoming what you've been through by, instead of approaching it from the extreme, like normally it would this is the way people like approach it. We're kind of approaching it through you interacting with the neutrality. So in the Justice card, the way my spirit guide describes it is this other person is able to simultaneously know how to give you the best possible option. Say, here you go, I'm splitting this halfway with you. Or here you go, if I got this chance, here you go as well. But they also are okay with setting boundaries with you and putting themselves first in their own life. They're fair to both themselves and you. So while they are like helpful and definitely like you can trust their opinion of when they say like, no, you're right, your intuition was right, or no, I agree with you, you can trust they're giving you the most honest answer, but they are definitely going to almost teach you by like watching by example and experiencing, like, hey, you're not a bad person if you need to set boundaries. Hey, you're not a bad person if you don't want to hang out with someone that night, because they just don't feel they don't feel bad about themselves doing it as well. So it's like a really interesting way of approaching and overcoming these sort of like more closed off emotions, and you starting to kind of bloom from this example and this interaction, and it's really nice. Now, these cards go back to expressing this other friend in the soul family, but are they related at all? Very small percentage of you, some of you can be related. I'm getting like kind of a cousin vibe. Oh, most of you, it would be someone you met at work. Can it be outside of work? Not really. Interesting. Okay, cool. So anyways, these cards we're going to go over in a second to explain what's going on over here, but it's important to address this other person. So this person is not necessarily handing out advice, doing anything differently. They're just really approaching things from a pragmatic way. They're great to you, they're great to themselves, and just by experiencing them, it's inspiring in a way you hadn't really seen approaching it, and in a very like backdoor, unexpected way is helping you through your distrust of your own opinion and intuition. But on the flip side, we have another person in your soul family, the High Priestess in reverse. This is somebody who's giving quite a bit of advice to you, is how my spirit guide put it. They really hand it out quite freely to everyone, right? Yeah, okay. But this is really cute. It's not really the best advice, but it's not like harmful or bad, or like it's very harmless and silly and just kind of like, oh, you know them, they're that person that casually is like, well, if I was in your shoes, kind of just really casually putting it out there all the time. But their existence is really important to sort of, again, we're talking about an unconventional way of overcoming what's going on over here through the interaction with this person. With this, again, another part of this puzzle is this interaction of this other person in the soul family interacting in this kind of way. Because when you're interacting with them, you can tell and know, nah, that's not what I would do, or that's not how I would approach it, but you don't mind that they express themselves in this way. And they're sort of a symbolic representative of it's totally like an opposite vibe of what's going on over here. But to prevent you from kind of idolizing this other person and then slowly get into your feels and be like, oh no, they're so cool, they seem like they know what they're doing, do I know what I'm doing, and given back into this type of mindset you were put upon due to this circumstance because of what's going on over here, this is all going to come together. This person is kind of keeping things on they're kind of waking you up and not taking things too seriously. So the thing is, these are actually not being read in reverse. They're more, the way my spirit guide describes it, is heading in the direction to describe this person over here. So we're going back to the main person at hand in their soul family. So the way it's over here is like the King of Cups is somebody who's like, think of them as like really navigating the waters well. If you're going to we're going to think of this in like an explorer's term. You're trying out new things, you're exploring new emotions, you're exploring new mindsets. They are totally a master of it. They're a master of their emotions. They'll get to that destination no problem. They're able to hear your point of view, their point of view, able to see the bigger picture. They're just, they're really in control of themselves. And it doesn't mean they're perfect and have healed everything. I want to be absolutely clear about that. It's just they've got a good handle on what's going on and how to approach things in this method. But then while we take like an explorer's point of view, they can navigate the waters to the destination. When they get to the destination, they do a pretty good job of building something sustainable, something long lasting. King of Pentacles is very much them like confident that once they get to their goal, their trajectory, maybe you both want to like accomplish this idea, or you talk about a concept and you're bringing it to life, or maybe you're talking about an emotional idea. And when they get there, they're going to really they're not all talk, like they're going to implement it into their schedule. So like, let's say you both are like, wouldn't that be fun if we, really just saw the world differently in this way? And they're that person that you start seeing them practice it. And that can kind of be intimidating after a while. When it first starts out as very admirable and cool and like not too over the top. And again, we talked about the whole idea of them really like weighing you heavy with compliments. They're just not that type of person. That's not the experience you need right now in your life. And you really kind of like feeling inspired and being like, yeah, maybe I do trust my opinions, and they support that. And you're like, yeah, see, I trust what they think. They think I'm correctly seeing the situation as is, and then simultaneously learning from someone who's like, see, we're still cool friends, and they can set boundaries and say no, and like, maybe I need that as well. Maybe that's where it all went wrong initially. Then you start to see how well they handle things, and you could start kind of getting insecure again. And what prevents that insecurity is this other soul family member popping in and being like, hey, I'm a goofy kind of comedic relief. I'm gonna give you advice, ironically, compared to this other person you feel like you're getting so much guidance from, even though they're not giving it to you, and it's gonna be wrong, and you're just gonna like, it just kind of delights you, and you like them. You don't agree with it, but it doesn't bother you, and it's fine, and it kind of pulls you out of getting too sucked into all of this stuff. So overall, there is, by the way, again, just to be clear, my spirit guide said there is more soul family members in your group, but these are the two most important. And my spirit guide also said that these people will not hold these sort of roles forever. It's just, this is what you're dealing with. This is how they are best serving you. And this is how it's all kind of beautifully coming together and kind of keeping you level-headed and taking you to that next part of yourself, that best version of yourself you can possibly be, which we love. Again, you do already know them, so you can go look out. Please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear more about it. Also, consider giving this video a like, a subscribe, hit that notification bell. I'm wishing you and your soul family the best. I'll see you in the next one, and let's get ready for our next group number 3. Group number 3. Let's find out who is your soul family by looking at the cards. We've got the oracle cards, follow the leader upright and compass in reverse. We have 10 of cups in reverse. And we have the world card upright. We have the 6 of wands in reverse and the 3 of cups upright. Oh, I love that interaction between the two. I'm just looking at the information of the cards. Give me just but a moment. Interesting. Wow, this really is like... Also, this is kind of funny. We're talking about 3 different people here in the soul family, and I love this confirmation of the 3 of cups, even though it does express some other ideas. And this is group number 3, so a lot of synchronicities going on in there. Very cool. But it truly is. My spirit guide describes the last person we're going to speak about as the missing piece of the puzzle in the group of these friends, which I think is really interesting. They were talking about, my spirit guide was talking about how in some cases you guys are all friends, but not necessarily. Sometimes these are 3 separate people that you know. So that's just not important if you know who I'm talking about, but you're not a group. But let's get started. So first, I don't know how you... Wait, can you be a group in some cases? Interesting. Okay. Only because of this, what's going on here. So in follow the leader, this is how it's going to be read. This is one group of person. These 2 are is another group of person. And this is a third. This is the final group of... this is the final person. So first off in your soul family... This person gives you the opportunity to be the leader in the relationship. Now, it's not a mentorship type of vibe. It's more that they are really interested in following your lead, very much like the card. And it gives you an opportunity to practice teaching someone else and giving someone else like what you have to offer. So it's like you building up confidence in what you have to offer is enough and is of value. And they really are taking interest and giving you, again, not to be redundant, this opportunity to build upon that. That gets repeated over here in the compass in reverse because this talks about the idea of like wherever you focus your attention the most becomes your higher power. My spirit guide said that this higher power you're building within yourself through this interaction with this other person would be a younger person. They can potentially be related to you. So this could be like a younger, I'm getting such a male vibe from it, but it could be both, or is it predominantly male? It could be both. Okay, that's what I thought. But it could be like a younger, like nephew or something like that. Or maybe you babysit someone. So it could be like very young in an age difference, but they can still be a part of your soul family, which is really sweet. But that interaction is giving you this really positive opportunity between the 2 of you. And it makes you relook at the people that you have in your life. And not everybody in your soul family has to be this best friend you stay up all night talking to. It can be some interesting interactions going on there, which is really fun and cute. The other person going on over here is, this is such a positive shift they're helping you out in from the 10 of cups in reverse, moving to the world card. So you're being represented in the world card, which is really beautiful. And I mean, yeah, the 10 of cups in reverse. So the 10 of cups in reverse is just like not good times and not good vibes, so to speak. This would explain a lack of bliss time period. Just really sad, bummed out. My spirit guide said in many occasions, many or some? Many, okay. There was, you didn't get along with your family of some sort. Something was off in that situation. And this is why it makes sense, the lack of connection you felt like with other people, this sense of, again, we go back to the idea of soul family and how they helped you review the way you were interacting with the world. My spirit guide said that they've helped you re-look at shaping your own kind of world view and your own private world around you. Not to be redundant, I'm trying to find the vocabulary for it. So they had you reevaluate, like, how do you look at your job? How do you look at interacting with others? How do you look at interacting with yourself? And realizing that because you do have control over this, and over time you can kind of shape whatever you're interacting with on a regular basis, that becomes your own private little world. And then because that is the way you can view that concept, and you do have so much control over it, there's just this nice empowerment and revamping, but also a sense of independence compared to what's going on over here in the Ten of Cups in reverse. Because the Ten of Cups in reverse can just show somebody who's like sad. It's just not a good time, unhappy. But if we do want to view it as like a disconnection from some form of like a nuclear family type of situation, it goes from being like, wow, many times when we're younger in that situation, that's all we know, that is our world, and we feel like we're not in control. The people that are older than us or above us, is theoretically not like hierarchical, feel like they control our world. So when there's a disconnect or things aren't working, it feels like our world is crashing in around us. And this other person in your soul family really kind of like influenced you by making you question, like, well, you have control over this. Now that you're this age, you could do this, you could do that. And it really just kind of made you feel great and empowered, and is a really positive influence in your life. Is this like a coworker? It feels like a coworker. Interesting. It is a coworker in some, and in others it would be a friend. And my spirit guide went as far as to say sometimes it's a neighbor kind of friend, which is interesting. So close by. But this would be like a lot of like casually chatting over coffee, the phone, just talking and working out ideas. But they really shaped the way you viewed these things and interacted. And there was a lot of proactive decisions made by this influence, which is really beautiful. And third, last, our final person over here. So the 3 is confirming, like I said, that there were 3 people in this group. But my spirit guide said this card represents more the idea that they're the missing piece of the puzzle, and it all kind of comes back around, how it all influences itself. So in the 6 of Wands in reverse, my spirit guide said this represents this other person is someone you don't hang out with like very often, but whenever you do, they give you this wonderful sense of like insight and something to kind of mull over. And so you kind of like learn from them, like contemplate something, and then spend time periods by yourself with that information and really like evolving into it. Like 6 of Wands in reverse is very much like looking inside yourself for something to celebrate and see as likable and approachable and find successful. So it's like looking inside yourself and being like, I'm a winner, I'm successful, I'm worth attracting good things, and so on and so forth. And it appears this sort of like insight is something you get from them, even though you don't have a ton of experiences like interacting with them. They're not the friend you like call every moment and like have a cup of coffee with on a regular basis. They're the person you see every like couple of months or weeks. But it always feels like even though the time period between the 2 of you is sort of separate, like there's some time in between where you don't get to see each other, it's almost like no time has passed at all once you get together and have like a nice talking session, which is really beautiful. But if you notice, this is all about going inside yourself and taking a little bit and breaking down information into a bigger idea. So there's one concept of that. This is about taking that part of yourself inside and putting it outward and showing someone else and influencing someone else in that really positive way. And then this is how you take that insight that you've been projecting outwards and take it to the next level and have it project all these other things around you. So you can see this like beautiful little see how these like 3 interacting people together, you can see how it's all positively influencing each other in like a beautiful harmonious cycle. So not only do you have a beautiful soul family, but you just have a general solid connection and vibe going on, which I love. I hope you love it too, by the way. I'd love to hear all about it in the comments below. Feel free to give this video a like, a subscribe, hit that notification bell. I am wishing you the best. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. And let's get ready for our final group. Group number 4. Group number 4. Let's find out who is in your soul family by looking at the cards. We've got our oracle cards, joy, peaks of joy. In reverse, magical map shifter, Ace of Wands in reverse, Three of Swords upright, Four of Wands upright, ooh, and Four of Swords in reverse. Okay. I'm just looking at everything to get all the information. This is about one person in particular, and there is an extreme past life karmic thing popping up. And obviously that's a given with it being a soul family reading, but it's an important reason of why you two are together. Interesting. Okay. So I actually was curious, due to the past life I'm picking up here, if you two are currently romantically together. And my spirit guide said some of you might be, but it's not really important even if you are romantically together, and it's not a given if it is. It could just be like a friend or something like that. Can it be like a family member? No, it would be someone like new, like a friend you'd meet. But you can have a crush on them. Okay, but that's not necessary. Okay, sorry, just getting specifics. So anyways, in Peaks of Joy in reverse, this is all about the idea of asking yourself the question of like, oh, I'll be happy when, and you're kind of putting your happiness on a pause. My spirit guide said that when you first met this other person, you did not initially kind of have this immediate magnetic connection. Everything's perfect. Everything's amazing. Could do no wrong. It was a little bit of a buffer in the beginning. And there wasn't a realization of how important this person was going to be in your life. That gets additionally confirmed over here with Magical Map Shifter, which, no joke, just straight up means people come into your life for a significant reason. So then that made me realize, because I was talking to my spirit guide about these two cards, and they said that this is a person that basically what happened was, and I'm gonna be really specific about the past life in 1 second with what's going on over here and the lesson to be learned, but you guys knew each other, you had an incident happen. Then when you guys were kind of like in between reincarnating and you were discussing to reincarnate together, there wasn't grudges between the two of you. It was that you both kind of like were think of yourself as someone like you're no longer in that story anymore, that no longer defines you, and you're able to be like, hey, I care about you too. I care about you too. We're both this little soul family. And then essentially you guys were like, well, I have to work on this issue and I have to work on this issue. Oh, do you want to try to work on those issues together? Yeah, sure. So you guys are working through karma together, but not because you guys need to heal with each other in a like, there's a personal grudge going on here kind of way. It's more of, as despite what I'm about to tell you, it's more of a like, okay, we were going to share it together. So even though it seems really personal, it's actually in your deep soul level, it's a very detached thing, and it's a very joyous thing that you chose to come together and overcome that situation again. This is a huge reason why they're so important to you, but there was initially sort of like, I don't want to say friction. My spirit guide was like, but there was. But there's some sort of disconnect feeling before there's a sense of getting closer. And even despite there being friction, just kind of wanting to still go back to them, or the universe sort of kept bringing you back together to get to know each other well. And so let's talk about that significance and those lessons to be learned, because I can actually see the lessons to be learned on both situations and sides. So, in this past life, you guys were romantically together. And with the Ace of Wands over here, heading towards the Three of Swords upright, it was like an instant, fiery, passionate connection. It was like, oh, you just totally were into each other the second you met. But unfortunately, not that long into this past relationship, this other person cheated on you. They only did it one time ever. Not that I'm excusing that or anything like that, but that's what happened. And I keep being shown the imagery of not only did you know, and my spirit guide said that you did know, like you full on caught them and saw it happen. but the other person didn't know that you saw it, and this caused you an enormous amount of grief. But you didn't want to say anything in this past life because there was this feeling of like, oh, well, I'm still really connected to them, and we're kind of headed in a direction of a long-term partnership, even though it was still so early on. Like I said, the connection was intense between the two of you, and you both had like knew deep in your hearts. It's that kind of thing where you don't discuss it yet, you like know it's going in that direction. You both knew this was like the real deal and you were going to end up together, and you kind of didn't want to sacrifice like the happy dream and ending. But what ended up happening was you did end up staying together and like getting married, and like, did they have a family? Oh, you didn't have a family, but you had a family in another way. It's almost kind of like this idea of like surrogate, like nieces and nephews, or like whoever worked on, in the area and they were like younger, you like took care of them. So it wasn't like your full on family, whatever. These are just like little extra details. I hope this is interesting to you. I'm sharing anything I'm being told by spirit. So anyways, going on. But the problem is when we see the Four of Swords in reverse, we could see that this was like making you ill. Wait, did they get actually sick from this? Oh, wow. This is how you actually... So this is something you carried with such grief in this past life that when it made you prematurely go out before you transition, before you could have a family. That's a huge reason why you didn't have a family with this other person, because this grief kind of weighed on you in an emotional and physical way so intensely. And this other person like could always kind of like feel a bit of a disconnect from you, but they were still really into you, but they don't know, like they just didn't know what the deal was. So what's going on here? What's the greater lesson to be learned for both of you? So for you, it appears that you were, you need to be able to like be unafraid to have that sort of confrontation and speak your mind, and even be willing to sever a tie if it need be. I'm not saying you need to sever a tie with this other person or that's the ending goal. It's more of a grander like concept and lesson being learned that you're going to carry out into other relationships and sort of setting boundaries with other people. And the lesson being learned here is like you being able to be like, if I've got to talk about it and I have to make the difficult decision to no longer be with that person, friend, romance, or whatever, I have to be willing to be okay to then follow through with that and be okay with that, even though that's not the happy ending I was kind of setting out to do, because it's for the greater good for me and potentially even for this other person and the relationship as a whole, no matter the type of relationship. But again, it's not about you severing ties with this other person, but it's being able to say like, hey, I know this thing, can we talk about this? And being willing to have that difficult discussion and then be like, and be okay with being like, hey, I'm not okay with this. And not worrying if the other person freaks out and has a moment of being like, I don't like that you're not okay with this. And it's like, yeah, I get that. But I am. Like, this isn't to create a wall or start a fight. I'm just letting you know, like, this is my reaction and my emotions are valid. And now let's see where we can go from here. Let's see if we can talk about apologies and figuring it out and understanding people's perspective, but being not someone who holds on to it to the point that they carry it physically in them. Now, for the other person, though, when they made this decision and cheated on you, this is the reality of the situation. Even though this isn't okay that they, like, did this, and we know it, like, really, like, caused you to be heartbroken at the time, in this past life, two things can still be true. They really did love you and have this instant fiery connection and really want to spend their life with you immediately. It was just the same way for them as it was for you. But, and this is not excusing this, but basically they met someone else. It was a heated moment of passion. It was like, and there was still like a part of them that was like, well, I just met this other person. Like, I don't know, I'm not really tied down right now. You know what I mean? And they kind of made a snap decision and basically were too impulsive. And then later it's not even like regret. It's more just that they like later looked back and they were like, wow, I did not really think that one through, and I'm not worried about, sometimes people don't worry about things until it's actually a repercussion. They never really technically received a repercussion from you. I guess the repercussion would be the sense of disconnection between the two of you, but it's more that they like knew in their heart after they like really built something wonderful with you, that they were like, and I'm now just being told by my spirit guide and like the vibrations I'm being sent, I'm hearing you correctly, right? Yeah, okay, good. That like once you transitioned and you were no longer in their life, they kind of were always like, man, this was the love of my life. Why did I like 2 weeks into meeting them so quickly get with someone else? Like, man, like that's not what I wanted. That's not who I am. I was just too caught up in my emotions and feelings very quickly and kind of given into the ambiance of the situation. Why did I do that? So on one hand, we have them needing to work out impulsive actions and choices and needing to just take a second to think before they make decisions. And then on the other hand, you're working through being able to not carry stuff physically by expressing it and have those difficult conversations. And essentially, it's really beautiful because again, it's not just about karma being worked out between the two of you, but sometimes when you have karmic connections, there is like an actual grudge that's like held between the two of you and so on and so forth. This is not that. This is like an equal partnership between two cool, like woke, enlightened individuals that are like, hey, you want to share? And like, I care about you so much. Do you want to learn that lesson together again? Because like we are cool with each other and like I would like to see you again. So it's really beautiful, nice connection, and just a really like cool thing to have. I don't really come across it very often. Very beautiful. Like I said, very chill. Like I said, I more commonly come across people that like run into each other again in this way if they have this type of karma and they're like, there's an issue there needs to be forgiveness. It is what it is. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this. Please leave a comment, a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I am wishing you the best. I look forward to seeing you the next one. And yeah, goodbye.